when I woke up this morning.
Well, some virologists that are highly respected say 5 million are going to die. Others say a couple 100,000. Some say as little as 50,000. Do you think this is hype, or do you think this is serious?
No, I think it's serious, but I don't think it's going to be as bad here if it hits the States. I think it's going to be, like it is here. I mean, like it is in Africa. It's going to be far worse.
Sure. Well, the WebMDs and others do say that among the suspected transmitters of it, Encyclopedia Britannica says, is Ebola can be transmitted by bats, primates, rodents, insects that inhabit tropical forests in Africa and Asia. So there you go. I just hope that it doesn't get to Texas or someplace that's hot and balmy like Austin is right now. Austin's like a rainforest right now. It's been raining. One day it's 100, the next day it's 60. So we'll see what happens. I appreciate your call. But it's a time bomb. It's the flesh-eating bacteria and the MRSA and the drug-resistant this and the drug-resistant that. Every month or so, somebody I know goes in for a minor surgery and gets a hospital-transmitted illness and gets their leg chopped off or their arm chopped off. But most of the time, they just die. But because it's the medical system that's so infected and in such a crisis, they just cover it up. And so it's not a big news issue. And that's another big point. If it starts spreading, will we even get told if they start finding Ebola? Because the hospitals have to report to the CDC, and I guarantee you the CDC isn't going to want to panic or say, don't tell anybody, and a truck's going to show up. Where are those people going to be taken? We know the procedure under the executive orders is to just disappear people. There's a CNN whitewash. 1 in 25 patients get infection in hospital. That's a lot worse than that. And that's why my dad says, go to a private clinic, a newer private clinic that doesn't have sick people in it, that has elective patient care. But even Joan Rivers was in an elective facility. She didn't die of a airborne illness. She died when they were doing the surgery, they think, from touching on her larynx and it closing up on her and her suffocating. Jay in Illinois, thanks for calling. You're on the air. You're a hazmat tech, you say. What do you think about all this?
Well, like you said, talking about nutrition is one of the main things I think, we need to be concerned with, and then also respiratory protection. I mean, if this is indeed going to spread through the air, then the normal person needs to be able to protect against that, and there's some things you can do for that.
Well, if you're an expert in that, I mean, how good is just a paper mask?
Not good at all.
You need something that covers up your whole face, don't you, to cover your eyes up?
Yes. Well, you need some form of eye protection, but then also, for my family and I went out and secured the highest level of protection that you can just buy, over the counter. The P100s are the highest level of protection you can buy over the counter. That's a filtered air, type of mask. The CDC sent out a email a couple weeks ago, to the first responders, saying that they recommended at least an N95. An N95 is just your basic, dust mask, and would not protect against something that's airborne. You want to research that out. There's various levels that you can purchase, N, R, or P. P is the highest level of protection and does protect you against viruses.
How often do you have to change the filter, though?
The P is the highest level. N is just, hours of protection. R is like an 8-hour protection. This is all NIOSH recommended. The P is your highest level of protection you can get, and I believe it's rated up to at least 40 hours of like an 8-hour day, 5 days a week. Obviously, if you're...
Sure, well, what I've actually got, now that you say the name of it, I bought years ago P100s with the whole plastic face mask and the whole 9 yards. Plus, you want that when you're out operating, trying to get out of town or whatever. You want to be able to put that on your kids, put that on your wife, so that because, look, let's face it, there's no telling what the globalists could pull down the road. They could have drones flying around spraying this stuff. I mean, I hate to talk like that, but you can see the gear up everywhere for collapse, the military training to mow down, quote, people that have zombie virus. Well, what looks and acts like a zombie? Well, airborne rabies that humans can get, or airborne Ebola, in my view. Do you agree with that, or you disagree?
Yeah, I do agree, yes.
And I'm no virologist, I've just studied this stuff. Well, what do you make of the Army the last 6 years training so intensely to, quote, take on a zombie apocalypse?
Well, I mean, it's, you know, I'm a fire officer as well, so, you know, we're preparing for worst case scenario. So, I mean, you know, if you're looking at the military training along those same lines, you know, they're going to be prepared for worst case scenario.
Well, it's caused total panic in 6 different countries, and 2 of them are about to collapse. We've got the video of what happens when Ebola patients are running around out in the open, and it just causes total turmoil. Thank you so much for the call, sir. Thanks for holding. We're going to go back and try to talk to Bob and Casey and Eric and Nathan, and I just really appreciate everybody who's been calling in. Stay with us. Credit for up to 22 days before illness even shows up. Even if you don't think the threat is real, which it obviously is, then I want my freedom back. I don't want to have my children grow up to the airport. I don't want to have to get the naked body scanner, take my shoes off, be bossed around because of radical Muslims they claim attacked us on 9/11, when our government is openly funding those very people now in the Middle East. What do you think about that as viewers, as listeners out there? Now, there's a bunch of news I haven't even gotten to yet. Extent of Arctic sea ice reaches record levels. That's ABC News of Australia. Dozens of Christians, including women and children, are arrested in Saudi Arabia after tip-off to state Islamist police force with their underground church. Scots independence battle reaches fever pitch on streets. FBI launches national facial recognition system. Citibank, Deutsche Bank, Bank of America were channels for sending drug money to Colombia, court shows. Tell me something I don't know. We're going to be breaking that down. San Benito ISD forced to give children a bottle of water because the tap water is so toxic. Yeah, you know, California gives itself waivers on all its different propositions where you can't have any parts per billion, you know, of this and that in the water, except if it's tap water, then they give you all the poison they want. That's coming up as well. Before we go any further, though, let's jam in some more calls before this hour ends. Bob in Maine. Go ahead. You're on the air, Bob.
Yeah, I got 2 questions for you. I was reading an article on your website today about Syria, and I think I heard on your show a while back that it came out the Syrian government was actually looking at your website.
Yes.
I don't know if you'd be willing to comment at all, but have you ever been contacted by any governments about information, like to maybe consult with you guys or ask where you're getting your information from? Not in a bad way, but I mean in a good way.
I mean, I've had members of the German government on as guests, Japanese government, U.S. government. I've had members of parliament, members of Congress. I've had senators on, state senators, Rand Paul, federal senator. We've interviewed Ted Cruz. No, I've never. I was contacted before, you know, to go on like foreign television stations that are state-run. I've been on Russian state-run. I've been on like a South American state-run media as well. It came out in the London Telegraph that they hacked Assad's emails and that they were mentioning Infowars.com and our analysis of how Al-Qaeda was the main rebel force. And then, you know, quotes by Colonel Schaefer. But everything Colonel Schaefer said here 2 years ago has now been pretty much confirmed. We just tend to say stuff before other people do and before it's confirmed. Like the fear that Ebola is beginning to become partially airborne or more resistant. Doesn't mean it's fully airborne. That's now in the New York Times. So it's just that people listen to us because a lot of the stuff's sensational. It's because reality is sensational. But no, I don't talk to... Clearly, years ago, if I was in New York City or whatever, they would have obvious, I mean, you know, beautiful blondes that spoke Russian trying to get me to go off with them, and I would say no. I mean, that happened a few times, and it was pretty clear. And that's how the Russians do that. But other than that, no, I've never been contacted by foreign governments. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I had another question about
I'm going to come right back to you. Stay with me. Third hour coming up, ladies and gentlemen.
This is GCN, the Genesis Communications Radio Network.
The government's Department of Homeland Security is buying up loads of ammo. At the same time, they're restricting civilians' rights to own and purchase firearms. Can you put 2 and 2 together? Infidel Body Armor can stop every round, including hollow points and .308 sniper rounds, is reasonably priced and fully legal. But for how long? Go to InfidelBodyArmor.com, spelled INFIDEL bodyarmor.com. Infidel Body Armor. Just won't quit.
Tell folks how you got introduced to Super Male, and then when Super Female came out, tell us what happened.
After I saw such a huge positive change in my husband, I had to try it for myself.
Talk about the effects.
I feel great when I wake up in the morning. I have drive to go to the gym. I feel like I look better. I feel better. I feel sexier. I love it.
Even if you don't believe in supplements, take the challenge. Get a bottle of Super Male, a bottle of Super Female. Check it out for yourself. Consult your physician. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today. This is life-changing.